Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be when you finally realize you've won. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So, the narcissistic relationship, it's over. You've now processed virtually everything you possibly can process to this point. You've shed tears. Perhaps you experienced the anger stage. You've discovered who you actually are. You've been through so many things post-relationship, including perhaps even a discard. Maybe even you experienced the dark night of the soul. You figured out quickly that your social circle deteriorated, and the people that you thought were your friends, they removed themselves, and other individuals from your life, you had to remove yourself because you figured out that they did not serve you. This was a cleaning, a cleansing of your life. The post-narcissistic relationship part. Now keep in mind, the narcissistic relationship you were part of, you did not sign up for that. You thought you were in a stable, loving, healthy relationship. Nothing could have been further from the truth. You were in a one-way relationship with an individual or individuals who were trying to tear you down. They were not trying to build you up. They were trying to extract your resources from you, which, as I mentioned on the channel so frequently, include your time, your money, your love, your empathy, your energy, your social circle, your status, your health, everything. They wanted to take that from you. That's what the narcissist does. They want to take. And when they're done, what do they want to do? That's right, they want to take more. But you conquered this. And now it is post-narcissistic relationship where you have entered the pinnacle of indifference, the healing path that led you to the pinnacle of indifference, the mountaintop of indifference where you flat out don't care about the narcissist. You wish them all the best, but you've moved on, and you've now battled the demons that were in your head. You've now conquered the rumination. You've now processed that, yes, in fact, these kind of people do walk the planet, and that perhaps you fell in love with one, or you struck up a friendship with one, or went into business with one, or maybe one is your mom or dad, aunt, uncle, sibling, neighbor, whomever. The point being, it took you a long time to figure out what was up with this individual, meaning you didn't know what narcissism was because you weren't taught it in school, and you didn't know, you couldn't even wrap your head around why some of these behaviors were what they were. Let's say it was a sibling, how they never checked in on you, or they didn't want to spend time with you, or they didn't check up on you at all unless they wanted something from you. In other words, perhaps it's a sibling you've had in your life for 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years, and the sibling only contacts you when they want something, i.e. your money, or your time, or they want to borrow the car, or they want you to give them a ride, or they want to vent, or they want to have you agree with them when they're speaking negatively about somebody. But now, after all this time, you figured out, wow, that person, even though they're my blood relative, they don't serve me. There's something off. And then, lo and behold, you found my channel, and here we go. You're going down the rabbit hole on narcissistic abuse, and you're slowly figuring out that it is all around you. Now, am I suggesting that each and every individual on the planet is a narcissist? Absolutely not. There are many other types of individuals that walk the planet. I'm just suggesting for this video that when you really understand that you have won, you finally understand that you've won. This is a huge thing because most of your life up until this point, you couldn't figure out what was going on. You knew that you were doing your best for the relationship with whomever you're thinking about right now, but you could never quite please them. Or if you did please them, it would be fleeting. In other words, it would last perhaps for the day or the evening, or a short period of time, and then they would go back to abusing you again and again and again. Or you would be experiencing poor behavior, however you want to say it, whatever words you want to use. Then again, what happened is, most likely you Googled and or typed in YouTube, example, spouse won't talk to me, or rage fit, or silent treatment, something like that. And then lo and behold, here you go. You just found a utopia of information on narcissistic abuse on my channel. And this has opened your eyes. Remember, you can't unsee what you've seen. Now, having said that, when you finally realize that you've won, this is when you are healed and you've processed what the narcissistic cycle is about. You've identified that, yes, you probably were trapped in it for a period of time. Maybe you're existing in the devaluation stage or the zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog, when you were doing everything you could for that individual or individuals to the detriment of yourself. Example, let's say you held and or hold a great job. Well, the narcissist in your life, let's say it's a parent. They're asking you for money because they can't work any longer and they want things from you. And they see you as the gravy train. They see you as the child. Although you're an adult and you're making a lot of money, they want you to purchase things for them. But do they check in on you other than their birthday or holidays? Of course not. Why would they? Because you are looked at as an ATM. You are looked at as someone who has to provide for them. They don't see the big picture. They don't see the human side of you. They don't see you as a beautiful, bright, shining light. What they see is you as having the ability to purchase things that they want. So understand that for a minute. When you realize you finally won, this is when you no longer have to give these individuals your time, your money, your empathy. You don't have to answer a phone call. You don't have to respond to a text. You don't have to let them know your whereabouts or what you're doing or who you're dating or who you've moved in with or the friendships you've struck up or the businesses you've created or the vacation you just came from or are going on. This is the path. The path is not to share information about yourself with the toxic narcissistic individuals. Now, for many of you, I understand it's not that easy because you are tethered and or tied to some of these people, meaning maybe it is your mom and dad and you're the caregiver. Maybe it's your romantic interest and you just figured out after a long period of time being married to them, and you still are, that they're a narcissist, and now you're trying to figure out your exit plan. Maybe it is someone you struck up a friendship with who finally revealed themselves one time too many, and now you understand, wow, this person, not only do they not care about me, but they're just using me for the access to the golf club or the event or my beach house, whatever. These are all instrumental, pivotal moments in your life. And when you realize you finally won, that's when you realize that silence is golden and that your solitude and your peace of mind are imperative. And that this lifelong learning lesson that you've experienced, and a little alliteration there for you, this was something you had to go through. There was no other way. Now, you weren't prepared for the narcissistic relationship, whether it was a sibling, mom, dad, lover, whomever, because you didn't know this. You didn't know anything about it. Again, you weren't taught it in school. So you had to figure this out on your own. And you had to slowly understand, wow, I don't really know who to talk to about this. I just know I'm not being treated properly. And it seems to be a cycle. It seems to be happening over and over and over again. And the more I give, the more this person wants to take from me. That's all true. And that is by design. It's by design from the narcissist to try and extract as much of your resources as they possibly can. Having said this, when you realize you finally won, this is when you just decompress. You've processed the relationship. And now you've gone down the rabbit hole of other relationships that you should be removing yourself from. And my hope is you've already done so and or insulated yourself. Perhaps use gray rock when necessary, but for the hardcore people that were abusing you and or stealing your energy, you've gone no contact, blocked them, removed all flying monkeys and people associated with them, and you're beginning to live your best life. That's the path. And realizing that you finally won after so many years being caught up in the narcissistic fog, so many years being invalidated, devalued, taken advantage of, manipulated, and people weaponizing your empathy against you. Think about it. That's exactly what these narcissistic individuals do. They look for people that are unsuspecting. They look for people who don't know their own value. They look for people who are people pleasers, who don't have boundaries, who can't say the strongest word in the English language, which is no. And remember, when you say no to something or someone, you are saying yes to yourself. Play that again. That's a fact. But when you realize you finally won, this is when you can exhale. You can return to doing what you want to do. You can enjoy your hobbies again. Maybe it is music, maybe it's walking, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's golfing, maybe it's surfing, painting, maybe it's reading, maybe it's creating videos. Who knows what it is, but you've returned back to the third version of you, the best version of you possible. Bear in mind, there are three versions of you. The first version of you is the version of you before you met the narcissist. The second version of you is when you were in the narcissistic relationship. And the third version of you is when you finally understood that what narcissism is, you've healed properly, and you're at the pinnacle of the mountaintop of indifference. That is my hope. That's where you're existing right now. And that is a galvanized version of you. It's a version of you who no longer explains things to individuals, or it's a version of you who no longer is a people pleaser. You now have boundaries. You're now living your best life and reclaiming your hobbies and striking up perhaps some old relationships that you were not allowed to have in the past, or creating new relationships, but certainly removing relationships from anybody who still contacts and or is in contact with the narcissist and people on their side. That's the whole point. Realizing you finally won is a huge thing. Many people who are empaths, or many people in general, they don't want to give themselves a break. They don't want to celebrate meaning, yes, I've finally beaten this thing, the most difficult and challenging thing known to humankind, which is the narcissistic cycle. I've actually beaten it. I've broken the trauma bond. I've healed. I've processed childhood wounds. I understand exactly who I am now. Many people, they really still believe that they don't deserve it, or that they shouldn't feel like it is a win. It's a huge win. It's a massive win. And I can prove it to you right now. Let's say you were discarded from the relationship. Did anyone come knock on your door and check in on you? Of course not. Did anyone ask you and make sure you're okay or offer you help? Probably few people. Did anyone understand what you went through? No, they didn't. So what happened there? Well, what happened is your support system fell apart or disappeared. The narcissist now, most likely, if for this example, they discarded you, so now the one person you think can give you the answers, which is the narcissist, is the one person that won't give you any answers or closure. So what did you have to do? You had to dust yourself off, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, go to work on yourself, process the childhood wounds, understand exactly why you entered the relationship, understand exactly why you stayed in the relationship, and then you focused, you journaled, you wrote, you spoke with a therapist who's qualified, you watched videos, you meditated, you exercised, you ate properly, you reclaimed your life is what you did. And that's a great thing, because when you were in the relationship with the narcissist, you were an extension of them. You were a shell of yourself. I can assure you, your resources were decimated, whether you knew it or not. And it took you a long time to process all that. Once you did it, or you are doing it, you need to celebrate these things. That's what a win is. When you get a win, especially on the healing path, you need to celebrate it. And by celebrate it, I mean embrace yourself, slow down, take stock of where you were in the past, identify where you are now in the present, and know where you're going in the future. That is exactly called celebrating your win. But when you finally realize you've won, you can really look back on the body of your life up until this point, and you can say to yourself, wow, I was in so many great relationships, but one or two, or these number of relationships that were not good, let's say they were narcissistic relationships that you were part of, you didn't know what you're up against. Now you do. Now you're getting the wisdom. Now you're understanding that you don't need these kind of toxic individuals in your life, no matter who they are, no matter what they offer. They don't serve you. They just want to consume you. And this is when you realize that you've won, because you've done something that most people don't, A, get the opportunity to do, B, you've done it, you've accomplished it, and C, you need to embrace yourself and celebrate it and say, oh my gosh. Example, a year ago, where was I? 2 years ago, where was I? 3 years ago, where was I? And you fast forward to this present date right here, right now with me, and you say, oh my gosh, Andrew, you're right. I am in such a better space. Maybe you've relocated. Maybe you started a new job. Maybe you've fallen in love again. Maybe you got married. Maybe you struck up new friendships. Maybe you just have a brand new you. Maybe you have a new haircut. Who knows what you've done, but you're now returning back to you, who you were always meant to be, not who somebody, the narcissist, wanted you to be. Really get the message. So when you realize you finally won, this is a very empowering thing. It's when you become awakened and aware. It's when you enter the third version of you. It's when you've healed properly. It's when you don't tolerate poor behavior any longer. It's when you don't wish ill will upon anybody. You take the high road. You continue to move forward each and every day. You continue to become the best version of yourself possible. It's when you wake up in the morning and you practice gratitude, thankfulness. You meditate. You say to yourself, wow, I am so fortunate to be here. I never thought I would make it at times, but I did. It's when you relish where you are. It's when you reflect back on the sleepless nights. It's when you reflect on all the weight you lost or gained. It's when you reflect on your health issues and concerns that have now healed and or are healing. It's when you reflect on the mental clarity you now have, because you're not existing in the narcissistic fog. This is a long list of things, but when you realize you finally won, it is so enlightening and empowering. It's a great place to be. And if you're one of us that has made it across to the other side and you've reached the healing path, the pinnacle of indifference, God bless you. Drop comments below. You've put a mountain of work into yourself. Believe me, I know it. I'm sending you a huge virtual hug right now. It is not for the faint of heart to accomplish this task. It's not for the faint of heart to know what you're up against and to punch it right in the nose and say, yes, I'm going to beat this thing. I'm going to do it. I am going to exactly heal on my own. I'm going to process things. I'm going to take all the tools that I have at my hands now, meaning videos, therapists, etc., journaling, and I am going to go to work on myself. That's something the narcissist never thought you would do. Before I close the video, I'll tell you right now, the narcissist thought they would go to work on you, and they did. They tried to take you down. They didn't succeed. Now you're going to work on yourself because you're becoming the strongest version of yourself. And my hope is you've reached the pinnacle and or you are close to doing it. Side note, if this is your first video ever, stay the course, stay true, stay focused, understand your value, and break the trauma bond. You will do it in time, in your time. So guys, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon. Stay true, stay blessed. Continue to become awakened and aware, and understand you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. God bless you. Remember, no matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. You are not alone. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, bye, you guys.